Well, it appears even James Comer, the leader of the ridiculous investigation by House Republicans into Joe Biden, it seems even he understands that this has all come to an end and is now stuck in a situation where his claims about Joe Biden would lead one to believe that surely he could get an impeachment, surely he could get some accountability. But because those claims aren't backed up by evidence, he is not going to be able to get any of that accountability. And so then he's in between a rock and a hard place, because for his base to believe that this was what he stated it to be, don't they have to see something come of it? Don't they have to see a vote on impeachment? But James Comer does not want to lose and in that sense exonerate Joe Biden. And as we've talked about, he wants to keep this in the headlines as long as possible. But now the storyline is Republicans failed. Republicans revealed nothing. Joe Biden is not guilty of all the different wild things they've accused him of. And that's not what James Comer wants in the headline. And so he's panicking. He's trying to figure out, how do we get out of this? And that unfortunate and embarrassing situation for him is the least that he should be experiencing, given the months-long effort to smear Joe Biden being something he was leading on. So there's a piece from CNN that's titled "How the House GOP's Biden Impeachment Effort Fell Apart," and it is more extensive than the part of it that we'll talk about here, but I do want to highlight a few portions. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer was eager to take the reins of a high-stakes investigation into President Joe Biden and his family, seen as central to the House Republican agenda, a coveted perch that brought the added benefit of elevating his national profile, which is another sick part of this whole thing. He is going to benefit within Republican politics from being at the head of this investigation, even though by every metric you could possibly observe, it's failed. I'm going to really quickly pause your viewing of this video to ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just click that subscribe button plus the like button as well and the alert bell so you get notifications. Back to it. But after 15 months, CNN continues, of coming up short in proving some of his biggest claims against the president, Comer recently approached one of his Republican colleagues and made a blunt admission. He was ready to be done with the impeachment inquiry into Biden, according to the lawmaker who relayed the conversation to CNN. Comer has grown increasingly frustrated as the investigation appears to be at a dead end, with Republicans resigned to the reality that they don't have the votes to impeach the president. Multiple sources with direct knowledge of the situation told CNN. And then here's a key quote. Comer's hoping Jesus comes so he can get out. One of the GOP lawmakers who spoke to Comer told CNN he is fed up. He hopes Jesus comes so that he can get out of this. And Comer, instead of refuting that description of his feelings, when CNN asked him about this, he just said, I don't even want to talk to you. If you don't think they were influence peddling, there's nothing to say. My God. And so now he's operating on the assumption, dishonestly, that everyone gets that I approved the stuff. So why do I have to explain to you how I actually did? And it's ridiculous. And so again, I say there's actually things that positively have come for James Comer from this endeavor. He is more popular, and we'll get to a little bit later, a little bit more reporting that indicates what he's looking to do next. But the reality that would have come from this, if the world made any sense, the outcome that James Comer should be experiencing is one of ultimate humiliation, one of sort of being shunned out of polite society for leading such a ridiculous, counterproductive effort to smear the sitting president of the United States, and after months bringing nothing that is notable or, God forbid, wrong that Joe Biden did in his years of public service. And so now James Comer is hoping that Jesus comes to save him, because he understands he either can, well, I was going to say, here are his options, but they're not really options because one of them he can't pick. But he could publicly admit that this was all for nothing and they're just going to have to wrap it up with no outcome that excites the base. Okay, obviously he can't do that. So the other option is they just never call for an impeachment vote. They never push for that, even though Republicans have a majority in the House. So presumably, if all these things were true, the Republicans would be excited about impeaching Joe Biden. But even many Republicans are asking the same question: what are we supposed to be impeaching him over? And so then I guess you just pretend like the investigation's still going on, and that's why you haven't called for a vote yet. That seems like his only option, which is dishonest. And if you're pretending like the investigation continues on, then don't you have to hold hearings? Well, if you do that, then things like this happen.
Number 2, I would like my time restored. And number 3,
No, you
have not
time.
identified
You're out
a
of
single
order.
crime.
No.
Well, what is the crime that you want to impeach Joe Biden for and keep this nonsense going?
Well,
Why? What is the crime? Tell America right now. You can have the rest
You're
of my
about
time.
to find out.
What
very
is the
soon.
crime?
You're about to find out
Name
very
it.
soon. Chair
We
now
inhabit
recognizes
a
Mr.
propaganda
Biggs from
experiment.
Arizona.
So months into this, his answer to what crime are you accusing Biden of is you're about to find out. What? Aren't you supposed to have some reason that you're doing this, or you're just going to keep digging and digging until you find something? And here's another example of maybe why he'd not love the idea of holding more hearings.
Office building.
Mr. Chairman.
What business? Did they have an energy
Mr.
company?
Chairman, we have spent tens of millions of dollars you pursuing
Joe
Joe Biden, and you have not
true.
identified
That
a
is
single
lie.
crime.
You are
Really?
lying. That
Really?
is a lie. We have not spent $10 million.
Hey, how much have you spent?
We haven't spent hardly anything.
Oh, it's been for free. Okay. All right. Well, in any event, you know what? Then we get what we paid for it because you got nothing. You got nothing on Joe Biden.
No. Answer
You've
this
not
question.
named a single
this
crime.
question.
No, you
what did
You gotta love Jamie Raskin. And this was from the last hearing that was held in the House Oversight Committee, and it just doesn't go well. Here's another example from this last hearing.
Let me start by saying that obviously Chairman Comer's not here, but I think in light of what we witnessed earlier, I think it's important that together as a committee that we begin Chairman Comer's therapy session, right? A member of the other side wanted to confirm what the title of the hearing was, right? That Chinese propaganda. Well, we know the title of the hearing certainly isn't about impeachment anymore. And Chairman Comer has suffered tremendous loss. And we all know in our life what it's like to suffer tremendous loss. There's all sorts of different stages of grief, and that's the loss, obviously, of his impeachment hearing. And everyone deals with that different ways, and sometimes it takes time to grieve and struggle and fill that hole, that void that now exists now that he no longer has impeachment. But the only way we as a committee are going to help Chairman Comer get better is we have to get to the root cause, right? So for today's therapy session, okay, I want to talk about denial, right? The denial that the impeachment hearings are over, and the denial, obviously, that he started with the 1023 form, which was Russian disinformation.
So I think if James Comer is fed up, the terminology used by this anonymous House Republican, if he is hoping that Jesus will come down and save him in this moment, then clearly he gets there actually is an embarrassing element to this, because I've seen even now right-wing hosts asking, so what's going to happen? You kept saying Biden crime family, obvious crimes, we got the corruption. So you're going to do something, right? We're going to see some quote unquote justice for the things that never happened. And so I think he actually is feeling a level of embarrassment, but that's not going to stop him from trying to capitalize off of this newfound celebrity. Sources say, this same CNN report says, the Kentucky Republican is now focused on tactfully wrapping up his work, all while Comer, a 5-term congressman, has another matter on his mind: ambitions to run for higher office one day, including potentially running for governor, according to lawmakers who have spoken to him. And if this works, if this was just a jumping off point for him, or a springboard into a higher position of power, and he's able to successfully get Republicans to think, oh, that's the guy I saw on Fox News 500 gazillion times talking about the Biden crime family, then we have yet another example of the broken, messed up nature of our current political system, where you're able to lie. You're able to create interesting but fictional stories about an oppositional leader, in this case, the president. You're able to say whatever you feel like and go through the motions of an official proceeding and official investigation. And it can fail miserably, and you can still use that because now you're more well known to get into a higher position of power. I say again, as I've now said in so many segments, Republicans, this is insulting to you. Less so to us, sort of to us, because we're all Americans, but mostly to you. The fact that people like James Comer think that you're able to be hoodwinked this easily, that he can just pretend like he's doing something and holding Biden accountable and base that posturing off of lies. That's one part. But the other part is, even if you believe the lies about Joe Biden, he never got justice too. James Comer never held Biden accountable. So on both fronts, he's failing you. And just because you saw him talk about and insult Joe Biden enough times on Fox News and hold enough of these hearings, and you're more familiar with his name, he thinks you're going to support him. Don't let yourself be insulted like that. Instead, you could have leaders who actually try to implement policies. I will say that even if you have issues with Democrats, and I'm still speaking to this hypothetical Republican, then you must be able to observe the fact still that on one end you have Republicans who've been in the majority now over a year and have done absolutely nothing for you. Really, try to figure it out. Go do your research. See if you can find something materially that they've done for you. Not a viral clip of James Comer saying Biden crime family 300 times. Actually, a policy that they're responsible for, or even something not even that got signed into law because maybe Biden would have blocked it, but just something that the House of Representatives passed that you feel like even hypothetically could have made your life better. Okay. Then on the other end, you have Democrats. And I know you've heard a lot about how annoying these snowflake libs are and how they're socialists and Marxists and communists and all the things. But take that all out of your mind for a second and just go look into the legislative record of the House in the first 2 years of Biden's presidency before Republicans took over. And we're talking about things that actually do, I can tell you, materially impact your life. Infrastructure investments that do improve your community and create jobs in your community. Policies that contributed to this rapid plummet in crime that makes your community safer. Policies that contributed to this stunning economic recovery that got us out of the disaster that was left by Joe Biden's predecessor. Policies that expand your healthcare coverage, lower your healthcare costs, protect your benefits, give more coverage to veterans. That's supposed to be what legislators are up to, is doing things that actually material make your life better. It's not supposed to be this sort of team sports. As long as they're owning the other side, then you're going to be happy with them. Just because James Comer went after Biden enough, that's good with you. What has he actually done to make your life better? I'll keep asking. I'll leave it there. You can become a member and get access to the daily bonus show at, I was about to say the website, but no, now we have changed over to YouTube, so you can just click the join button below. It should be next to or around the subscribe button. And while you're there, click the subscribe button too. And let me know what you thought of all that in the comments.